Good morning, my dear brothers. Today we shall begin our new chapter, Assisted Reproductive Technology. So before we enter into this topic, we shall try to learn and see few video clips, and it is purely for learning purpose and is educative, okay? Not for any other intention, okay? It's purely for learning purpose, and it is connected with our topic today, no? Like we have clips about puberty, the menstrual cycle, male reproductive system and female reproductive system, fertilization, conception, etc. These are the video clips that we are going to see, and it is purely for learning, okay? For the educative purpose, okay? First, we shall see a video clip about the puberty.
Sexual maturation in human beings. Humans reproduce by sexual method. In this method, male reproductive cells fuse with female reproductive cells. But when do these males and females start producing reproductive cells? If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and press the bell icon to get all the latest updates. Humans start producing reproductive cells by the beginning of a period called puberty. At what age do boys and girls enter this puberty? There is no specific age, but they enter into puberty in adolescence. Adolescence is the stage between childhood and adulthood. How do we know that puberty has started in someone? We can notice the onset of puberty in boys and girls with some noticeable changes happening in their bodies. Some changes are common in both boys and girls, like thick hair growing in new parts of the body, such as armpits and the genital area between the thighs, which can also become darker in color. Thinner hair can also appear on legs and hands. The skin frequently becomes oily and they might begin to develop pimples. There are certain changes observed only in boys, like growth of hair on the face. 2. Voices begin to crack. And the third one, the penis occasionally begins to become enlarged and erect. There are certain changes observed only in girls, like 1. Breast size begins to increase with darkening of the skin of the nipples at the tip of the breasts. 2. They begin to menstruate. All of these changes take place slowly over a long period of time. They do not happen at an exact age in all. It depends upon their hormone levels and genetics of the individuals. As people are different in general body features like height, weight, skin color, etc., people also will have differences in secondary sexual characteristics like body hair growth, growth of beard and mustache, penis size, breast size, etc. So, we have seen the changes that happens during puberty. But how these changes are linked to the reproductive process. Changes in puberty helps in the process of reproduction and childbirth. For example, body and facial hair are the signals that show the sexual maturity of the individual. The erection of penis helps in the deposition of germ cells in the female reproductive system. The menstrual cycle is the indication of ovulation and the condition of uterus. The enlargement of breast is for breastfeeding of the baby. So, in this video, we have seen the development of sexual characteristics in humans. In the next video, we will see the structure and functioning of human reproductive systems.
Today's topic is menstrual cycle. What is menstrual cycle? The menstrual cycle is the regular occurrence of menstruation. It is the monthly hormonal cycle that a female's body undergoes in preparation for pregnancy. It occurs in the female reproductive system, specifically the uterus and ovaries. Regular menstrual cycle is a sign that essential parts of a female's body are under perfect condition. The counting of a cycle starts from the first day of the last period to the first day of the next period. Typically, the average menstrual cycle is 28 days long, but varies in some cases, ranging anywhere from 21 to 40 days in young teens, and 21 to 35 in adults. What controls the menstrual cycle is the rising and falling of the levels of hormones during the month. As old age approaches and the body starts its transition to menopause, menstrual cycle might become irregular and the length is likely to change. The cycle might begin to lengthen to many months instead of the average 28 days, or shorten. How does menstrual cycle work? The first half of the menstrual cycle sees the level of estrogen increasing. Estrogen plays an essential role in keeping the body healthy, as it helps to stimulate the development of female secondary sex characteristics and promote the growth and maintenance of the female reproductive system. The increasing level of estrogen in the body makes up for the thickening of the lining of the womb with nutrients and blood. Concurrently, as the lining of the womb is developing or thickening, at least one of the eggs or ovum in the ovaries ripen. The 14th day of the average 28-day menstrual cycle is when the egg is released from the ovary in a process called ovulation. Most women think their ovulation is on day 14, but 14 is an average, and most women will experience ovulation on a different day of the menstrual cycle. The day of ovulation varies from cycle to cycle, depending on how short or long their cycle is. After release, the egg then passes through the fallopian tube and journeys into the uterus, or womb, over the next few days. If along the journey, the egg is fertilized by a sperm, it will move on to bed down at the lining of the womb. At this stage, the fertilized egg is comprised of about 150 cells. The journey from ovary to embedding in the womb takes about 5 to 10 days. Once the egg isn't fertilized or successfully embedded, it starts to break down. Estrogen level drops, and the lining of the womb begins to produce prostaglandins. This signals the change of blood supply to the womb. The period starts, and the lining of the womb is separated along with the unfertilized egg. The menstrual cycle then starts all over again. How does the menstrual cycle affect other health issues? The hormone changes during the menstrual cycle can also influence or affect other health problems. Asthma symptoms may be bad during some part of the cycle. Anxiety and depression may get worse before or during period. Thank you for watching our video. Please
By now, you know that sexual reproduction involves both the sexes, that is male and female. In this lesson, we'll study about the sexual reproduction in human beings. We all know that in the course of development, we grow. It means that our bodies enlarge or we increase in our weight. But during adolescence or teenage, new sets of changes appear in our body. At this age, general body growth slows down, while the growth of the reproductive tissues increases. This period of adolescence is known as puberty. Some changes that take place during puberty are common to both males and females, while some changes are peculiar to both the sexes. Now, the changes that are common to both males and females are development of thicker hair in armpits and in genital area. Second, development of thinner hair on legs, arms, or even on face. Third, development of pimples, etc. Some changes that occur only in males are: first, development of thick hair on face. Second, the voice of the males begin to crack. And third, occasional enlargement and erection of penis either in daydreams or in night. While some changes that occur only in females are enlargement of breasts, second, darkening of the skin of nipples at the tip of the breast, third, menstruation. These characters developed in both males and females are called secondary sexual characters. Now you might be thinking that why these are called as secondary sexual characters? Are these linked to the reproduction process? Let me explain. We know that in sexual reproduction, both the male gamete and the female gamete should fuse. And this fusion in humans occur inside the female body. And for this, the state of maturity of both males and females should be identifiable. And it can be identified by identifying these secondary sexual characters. Now let's first discuss about the male reproductive system. The main function of the male reproductive system is to produce the germ cells or the sperm and to transfer them to the female reproductive system. Based on these functions, the male reproductive system is made up of two types of organs: primary reproductive organ and accessory male reproductive organs. The primary male reproductive organs is the pair of testes. They are responsible for the formation of male germ cells or sperms. Interesting fact about these testes is that they are located outside the human body in a sac called scrotum sac. This sac maintains a temperature which is below the normal body temperature, and this lower temperature is required for the formation of sperms. Besides producing the male gametes, the testes play an important role in secretion of a male hormone called testosterone. Testosterone regulates the formation of sperms. It also brings changes in the appearance in males during puberty. Now the sperms that are formed in testes are delivered by the two ducts arising from the testes. These ducts are known as sperm ducts or vas deferens. Moving forward, vas deferens combines with urethra, which is a tube coming out from urinary bladder. Thus, we can say that urethra forms a common passage for both urine and the sperms. As the sperms pass through the ducts, accessory glands like prostate and seminal vesicle add their secretion to the sperms. This fluid-like secretion is known as semen. It makes the transportation of sperms easier and provides nutrition to them. Sperms are the smallest cells in the human body. They mainly consist of genetic material. As you can see, that a sperm has three parts: head, middle piece and tail. Looking carefully, you will find that the nucleus of the sperm is present in its head. The middle region of the sperm provides the energy to swim, and the tail helps the sperm to swim rapidly. So this was the male reproductive system, which majorly aims to produce the male gametes and transfer these gametes to the female body. We have already studied male reproductive system, and now in this lesson we'll mainly focus on female reproductive system. Male reproductive system and female reproductive system are quite different from each other. They differ because they serve different purposes. Male reproductive system mainly aims to produce male gametes and transfer it to female body, while female reproductive system mainly aims to produce female gametes and is also responsible for carrying the baby throughout the development. The main organs present in female reproductive system are a pair of ovaries, a pair of fallopian tubes or oviduct, a uterus, a cervix and a vagina. When a girl is born, her ovaries contain thousands of immature eggs. As she grows and reaches puberty, some of these eggs begin to mature. On maturation, eggs are released from the ovaries. Every time, one egg is released from each ovary. So, alternate ovaries release the egg every month. That is, one ovary releases the egg 1 month, and in second month, second ovary releases the egg. Now this released egg enters the fallopian tube or the oviduct, and from oviduct it reaches the womb or the uterus. Uterus is a bag which opens into vagina through a cervix. During intercourse, male deposits the sperms in the female body through the vaginal passage. These sperms then float and reach to the fallopian tube or the oviduct. And there, if it meets an ova, it fuses with it. This fusion of an ova or an egg with the sperm is known as fertilization. So we can say that fallopian tube acts as a site of fertilization. This fertilization results in the formation of a zygote. The zygote then reaches the uterus, where it gets implanted in the lining of the uterus, thickens and is richly supplied with blood to nourish the growing embryo. This growing embryo receives its nourishment or its nutrition from the mother's body through a placenta. Placenta is a disc-like tissue present in the uterus. It has many villi, and these villi increase the surface area so that glucose, etc. can pass from the mother's body to the fetus or the embryo. Hence, this way, mother provides sufficient nutrients and oxygen to the baby. Now, the baby also produces some waste materials. So, these waste materials are removed by passing these to the mother's blood through placenta. The development of the child inside the mother's body takes approximately 9 months. And once the development is completed, the walls of the uterus undergo rhythmic contractions which help the child to take birth. So ultimately, we can say that uterus acts as the site for development of fertilized egg. Now, what happens to the unfertilized egg? Uterus prepares every month by thickening its lining to receive the fertilized egg. Now, if it does not receive any egg, that is, if the egg is not fertilized, then this lining is disrupted and it is released from the body in the form of blood and mucus through vagina. This process is known as menstruation. It occurs every month and it lasts from 2 to 8 days. So, we saw how the egg is fertilized and the child is born. We also saw what happens to the unfertilized egg. Now let's discuss about reproductive health of male and females. As the sexual act can lead to pregnancy in the female body, so it is very important that a female should be ready for it, else it would affect her health severely. There are many ways to avoid pregnancy. So various contraceptive ways are: first, to use mechanical barriers. For example, condoms can be used. Condoms are the coverings for the penis, and similarly some coverings for vagina can also be used as well. Secondly, pregnancy can be avoided by changing the hormonal balance of our body. By doing this, the eggs will not be released and so fertilization will not happen. But as this can be done by taking pills, so it has some side effects. Next method to avoid pregnancy can be with the use of lube or copper T. These can be placed in uterus to avoid pregnancy. But again, a side effect of this is it causes irritation in the uterus. Next, vas deferens in males can be blocked. By doing so, sperm transfer can be blocked and thus there will be no fertilization. We can also block fallopian tube in females. Moreover, these blocks can also be created by surgeries. These surgeries are considered safe for long run. But these surgeries itself can cause some infections. Surgeries can also be misused by some people who do not want girl child. And so we can see how reproductive health can be maintained in males and females.
Fertilization is the epic story of a single sperm facing incredible odds to unite with an egg and form a new human life. It is the story of all of us. During sexual intercourse, about 300 million sperm enter the vagina. Soon afterward, millions of them will either flow out of the vagina or die in its acidic environment. However, many survive because of the protective elements provided in the fluid surrounding them. Next, the sperm must pass through the cervix, an opening into the uterus. Usually, it remains tightly closed, but here the cervix is open for a few days while the woman ovulates. The sperm swim through the cervical mucus, which is thinned to a more watery consistency for easier passage. Once inside the cervix, the sperm continues swimming toward the uterus, though millions will die trying to make it through the mucus. Some sperm remain behind, caught in the folds of the cervix, but they may later continue the journey as a backup to the first group. Inside the uterus, muscular uterine contractions assist the sperm on their journey toward the egg. However, resident cells from the woman's immune system, mistaking the sperm for foreign invaders, destroy thousands more. Next, half the sperm head for the empty fallopian tube, while the other half swim toward the tube containing the unfertilized egg. Now, only a few thousand remain. Inside the fallopian tube, tiny cilia push the egg toward the uterus. To continue, the sperm must surge against this motion to reach the egg. Some sperm get trapped in the cilia and die. During this part of the journey, chemicals in the reproductive tract cause the membranes covering the heads of the sperm to change. As a result, the sperm become hyperactive, swimming harder and faster toward their destination. At long last, the sperm reach the egg. Only a few dozen of the original 300 million sperm remain. The egg is covered with a layer of cells called the corona radiata. The sperm must push through this layer to reach the outer layer of the egg, the zona pellucida. When sperm reach the zona pellucida, they attach to specialized sperm receptors on the surface, which triggers their acrosomes to release digestive enzymes, enabling the sperm to burrow into the layer. Inside the zona pellucida is a narrow, fluid-filled space just outside the egg cell membrane. The first sperm to make contact will fertilize the egg. After a perilous journey and against incredible odds, a single sperm attaches to the egg cell membrane. Within a few minutes, their outer membranes fuse and the egg pulls the sperm inside. This event causes changes in the egg membrane that prevent other sperm from attaching to it. Next, the egg releases chemicals that push other sperm away from the egg and create an impenetrable fertilization membrane. As the reaction spreads outward, the zona pellucida hardens, trapping any sperm unlucky enough to be caught inside. Outside the egg, sperm are no longer able to attach to the zona pellucida. Meanwhile, inside the egg, the tightly packed male genetic material spreads out. A new membrane forms around the genetic material, creating the male pronucleus. Inside, the genetic material reforms into 23 chromosomes. The female genetic material, awakened by the fusion of the sperm with the egg, finishes dividing, resulting in the female pronucleus, which also contains 23 chromosomes. As the male and female pronuclei form, spiderweb-like threads, called microtubules, pull them toward each other. The two sets of chromosomes join together, completing the process of fertilization. At this moment, a unique genetic code arises, instantly determining gender, hair color, eye color, and hundreds of other characteristics. This new single cell, the zygote, is the beginning of a new human being. And now the cilia in the fallopian tube gently sweep the zygote toward the uterus, where he or she will implant in the rich uterine lining, growing and maturing for the next 9 months until ready for birth.
The journey of life starts with a fascinating race. Starting with millions of sperm, only one, the fastest and the strongest, will reach the finish line. Some fall out of the race, getting lost in the rush through the narrow fallopian tubes, while some are stopped by natural obstacles which protect the woman's body from intruders. Those who make it closer to the end compete fiercely with each other. Together, they attack the egg cell. Their only goal is to be the first one to enter the egg. Only one will make it through, but the others simplify this mission by slowly dissolving the membrane of the egg. Finally, we have a winner. The winning sperm enters the egg and conception occurs. Half the man's and half the woman's chromosomes combine. This creates a unique DNA code which is needed to create new life. These combined chromosomes form the first cell of the new baby. This is now called the zygote. The zygote starts to divide into a cluster of cells and begins to travel to the friendly and safe habitat of the uterus. When the zygote is divided into a bubble of cells, a blastocyst is formed with an inner layer of cells making up the embryo and an outer layer which will protect and nourish the embryo. The blastocyst then finds a comfortable place to stay in the uterus for the next 40 weeks to develop and transform into a human being.
So my dear brothers, I'm sure that the videos, the clips that we watched now were informative, right? A lot of information, especially about the terms, of the organs that are in our human body, starting from puberty, what are the changes that we have when we attain that maturity of age, 13 or 14 or 15. It could differ of each, person, be it boy or girl. Some may be 12, some may be at 11, maybe 13, depends on their health and their bodily conditions. Okay, also we have seen the menstrual cycle and followed by human reproductive system, both male and female. And also we saw what you call the conception, how it is taking place, also the fertilization. So each human organ that we have in our human body, both male and female, has got its purpose, right? For example, my eyes, to see you, to look at the thing, look at the world, look at the creature, and my hands to carry, carry from one place to another, be it my bag, books, or whatever, My nose to smell, whether it is perfume or what food, what gravy it is, chicken gravy or mutton gravy, by smelling, I'm able to say. I don't have to even look, My tongue, once I put it in my mouth, my tongue, what you call, takes inside and tastes, whether it's spicy, chili, or less salt or more salt, then I add. Similarly, our heart to pump the blood, or the nervous system that is there to carry the commands from the brain. So similarly our human reproductive system, it has got the purpose. Purpose is to procreate, to bring the new life, So this is all that we have seen. So before we enter into the new assisted reproductive system, I thought we have some basic things, the clips that we have seen. So these clips will help us, enlighten us in the course of time, the head of days that we are going to see, especially what you call IVF, then what you call taking sperm from the donor or husband. There are many things which is morally evil and morally permitted, and what the church says, etc. We are going to learn in coming classes. So I thought before we enter into those subjects, is a basic of the basic that we should know what we have got in our human body. So I'm sure that these clips were informative, and we have learned something new. Some things we have learned already, but then to recall and to remind that we have the system. We have the human system which functions, which has got the great functions in our human body, and which brings or gives new life to another. So we are more capable, and we are more powerful. We are more powerful, we the human beings. Okay.